Larry Hausner here, the author of Save Baseball, a prescription for the major leagues. You can pick up the book anywhere online, order yourself a copy today. It also makes a great Christmas gift. So, this week, my travels have taken me to the Bay Area, as you can see behind me. I was here on a wet day in the San Francisco Bay and stopped by Oracle Park, one of the great ballparks in the major leagues. So, this time of year, December, around Christmas, I don't know about you, but as a baseball fan, I start to get the itch. Like, I need baseball. Enough of the hot stove leave and the rumors and all this other stuff that we normally are inundated with just to keep and whet our appetite until spring training rolls around. But one of the things that I'm always intrigued by is the Hall of Fame voting and results. And the Hall of Fame ballot is due the end of December. And on January 21st, the Baseball Hall of Fame will reveal the results. Taking a look at that 2025 ballot, what I'm going to do in this video, I'm simply going to tell you who on that list I think is a Hall of Fame candidate, somebody who's worthy of being a Hall of Famer. I'm simply looking at the list and telling you who I think should be a Hall of Famer. And my criteria, well, it's pretty simple. I think, and this can go for any sport, when you talk about Hall of Famers, when you say their name, you immediately think, yeah, Hall of Famer. If you have to think about it and weigh it, maybe go look up their stats, probably not a Hall of Famer. I'm not here to exclude anyone. In fact, I think there should be more players elected into the Hall of Fame for baseball than there are now. And in a future video, maybe after January 21st, after the final votes are tallied and the new class for the summer of 2025 is announced, then I'll do a post-mortem on the Hall of Fame because, well, I write about it in my book. And I have some pretty strong opinions about what I think is wrong with the current system, their model, and how baseball goes about honoring its best players can be improved. But let's focus on the task at hand. Again, looking at the ballot and who should be a Hall of Famer. So it's going to be a shorter list, more than you probably think. I'm going to go through who I think are Hall of Famers and give you a little rationale behind each one. And I challenge you to do the same and let me know who is and who isn't worthy and what your criteria is. You may completely disagree with who's on my list, and that's completely okay with me. I'm open to that, but I'd like to hear from you. So share with me who you think is a candidate, why not. Give me your criteria, and we'll have a good conversation there. So, first of all, before I talk about the ballot, let's talk about who recently was named Hall of Famers. This is not part of the ballot. Dave Parker and Dick Allen. They were elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame recently by the Classic Era Committee, and I couldn't agree more. Both selections, both those gentlemen, Hall of Fame worthy. In fact, long overdue for both. Let's break them down a little bit. So Allen played 15 years in the major leagues, mostly with the Phillies and the White Sox. He made 7 All-Star appearances, and he won the American League Most Valuable Player Award. That was in 1972. He had a WAR of 58.7, belted 351 home runs, and he drove in 1,119 runs. Batting average over the course of his career, 292. This guy was a stud. He deserves it. The only sad thing about this selection is he is not here to join us. He passed away in 2020. So his family will be there to honor him in July. So Dave Parker, growing up in the 70s and 80s like I did, I saw Parker play in person numerous times. And of course, we all saw those all-star games and postseason appearances that he made. This guy was simply feared. There's no other way about it. You cannot say that about many players. Parker was a force offensively and defensively. He finished with similar numbers to Dick Allen. His WAR was 40.1, 339 home runs, and 1,493 RBIs, 7 All-Star appearances, and a co-MVP back in 1979. And this guy possessed an arm like no other. So congrats to the Cobra. That, by the way, is a Hall of Fame nickname as well. All right, on to the 2025 ballot and who should be a Hall of Famer. First up is a newcomer to the ballot, Ichiro Suzuki. 3,089 hits and a WAR of 60. And this guy batted over the course of his major league career 311. Little side note about Ichiro. Back in the day when I was a sportscaster and I was the voice of the Honolulu Sharks of the Hawaii Winter Baseball League, and it was opening night for the league itself back in, 1993. My team, the Honolulu Sharks, were on the road to open the inaugural season of the Hawaii Winter Baseball League. We were in Hilo on the Big Island, and we were playing the Hilo Stars, a team made up of some of the Japanese up-and-coming players, as this was a minor league league. Minor leaguers comprised all 4 teams. And so there was one player that stood out from the rest on that opening night. On the Hilo Stars, this young man, 19 years old, a couple of weeks shy of his 20th birthday, went 4 for 4 in typical Ichiro Suzuki style. He had 4 base hits to the opposite field in left field. And he made an impression on me that night as a kid, playing against some pretty good competition. Most of these players were AA, close to AAA caliber. And here he was, 19 years old, also a minor leaguer, but in Japan. And he ended up leading our league in hitting that year. And I had an MVP vote, and I voted him MVP. I thought there was nobody else that came close. Unfortunately, he didn't win the MVP in the Hawaii Winter Baseball League, but hey, he went on to bigger and better things. So Ichiro began his major league career at the age of 27 after a successful stint in Japan. It's pretty impressive. That's it. That's the list. One guy made the list for me. Out of all those folks on the ballot, it's just one player. I'd love to say there's more, but nobody else measures up in my opinion and my criteria. But let's break down a couple of the others that are on the list. You're like, wait a minute, Larry, you're way off base. So let's talk about number 1, CC Sabathia, also a newcomer. He was terrific, right? He was a great pitcher. But he isn't in the class of somebody like a Greg Maddux or, Tom Glavine, is he? How about Carlos Beltran, who came close last year to being elected? Very close. Solid career numbers. But if you look at the last few years of his career, nowhere near being Hall of Fame worthy. Not getting the nod with those numbers. Plus, let's remember, he was rumored to be one of the orchestrators of the Houston Astros trash can banging cheerleaders club. Sorry, Carlos, you don't get my vote. How about closer Billy Wagner? He came oh so close last year. People talk about Billy a lot as being a Hall of Fame potential athlete. And guess what? Last year he was a few votes shy. And this year he's in his 10th and final year on the ballot. And if he doesn't make it this year, he's going to go into that other pile of guys that may be elected by the Veterans Committee or like Parker and Allen. So Billy Wagner, a fine closer, and his numbers are fairly comparable to other closers as well who are in the Hall of Fame. But let's take a bigger picture of Billy Wagner. Take a guess. Don't look it up. Don't put me on pause and look it up. How many times did Billy Wagner lead the league in saves? 0. That's not a Hall of Famer. Remember Lee Smith, the big right-hander, the closer, most notably for a team that I follow, the Cubs? It took him a long time to get elected. A lot of people thought, I don't think he is Hall of Fame worthy. And he was a fence rider, no doubt about it. Care to guess how many times he led the league in saves? 4 times. That sounds more like a Hall of Famer to me. So there you have it. Ichiro, that is it. Only one made my list this year. If he makes it along with Parker and Allen, that's going to be a nice group. I'm really excited to see if he does make it and see if he's elected by those that actually have a vote. Hopefully next year, we'll have a better crop. Again, let me know your thoughts. Who are your Hall of Fame candidates? Who do you think no way they should even be on the ballot? Give me your criteria. I gave you mine. Pretty simple. You say their name, you're like, I think that person's a Hall of Famer. So as always, I would like you to like, comment. Let's have a dialogue here. Subscribe and share. Until next time, for the love of the game, I'm Larry Hausner.